Hello again. Welcome to another day of breaking out technology in the classroom. Welcome to the last lesson. You have made it. It has taken a while, I would imagine, to get through all 15 lessons. And so now you have achieved some serious understanding of what immersion is, the history of VR, going through into digital well-being, different topics such as cross-cultural communication, getting into games eventually, and many different things. So just know that that is a very exciting place to be. And I am very excited to be doing this last video lesson for you. So, in this last lesson, we're really thinking about bringing the idea of virtual spaces to a more expanded view. We're continuing our exploration of gaming and virtual spaces, but we're just shifting our focus a little bit, looking into how VR gamers actually stream their experience for non-VR viewers. This is about sharing gaming experiences, and especially in virtual reality settings. Instead of just asking where games happen or how they happen, today we're going to look at who gets to participate in the games and how. More specifically, we're taking a look at how VR experiences can be shared with people who are not actually wearing a VR headset. So keep this question in mind as we go. Does everyone need the same technology to have the same experience? Really, we're trying to be inclusive with our thoughts here. And really, we're trying to enable the truth of the message that VR is inclusive and can bring people to the table whether they have a headset or not. So let's start with the real issue. Virtual reality is exciting, but it's not perfect for everyone. Some people may find themselves suffering from motion sickness, discomfort, or even disorientation while using VR headsets, and others might not even have access to this technology at all. So here's the problem. If VR is supposed to be immersive and engaging, what happens when someone cannot use it? Um, does this mean that they're excluded? Or can we design these experiences that allows them to still participate at some level? This idea connects to an overall idea that is bigger than just games in general, but inclusivity with technology. So our question that we started with was what happens for some reason a person wants to be included in a VR experience, but they cannot. Once again, my reminder is that people do not need to have a headset to have an immersive virtual experience. Um, we should be asking the questions, should powerful experiences like VR only be available to people with certain devices or physical comfort levels? And I think in our hearts, the answer is no. Um, we should um, we should allow all people to experience virtual reality. So the key idea is that you do not always need a headset to experience immersion. So before we go deeper or even dive deeper into this idea of sharing virtual experiences, we need to define the important term immersion once again. Now, we've defined this term already in this unit series. Um, we defined immersion as a deep dive, thinking about diving underwater, being surrounded by water, being focused on everything that's going on under the water, and everything else fades away. That's what immersion is in gaming or in learning, being fully mentally and emotionally engaged in an experience. So to be immersed is to be surrounded by whatever it is that you're focused on, whether that's a game or a study material. Immersion in a VR experience can be quantified by presence or by being there or feeling like you are there. So really, we need to ask that question. Do you feel like you're actually there? This quantifies what immersion is. Do you need to have a headset to find immersion, to feel like you're there? Do you need a headset? So, thinking outside of VR for just a second, I want you to wonder, have you ever been in a game, just a physical game, where you were so into it, or maybe a movie that you were so invested in, or a book that you were completely immersed in, that you lost track of time during these experiences? Have you ever felt emotionally connected to what was happening in the story or the game or the movie? That's immersion too. No headset required. Asymmetric VR is a really important concept that we get to kind of dive into today as well. And it might sound complicated, but the idea is very simple. It means that different players can use different types of technology to participate in the same experience. So using a regular desktop interface, a user who would likely engage with VR but might not be able to due to cyber sickness or motion sickness may now engage in a virtual reality setting. One player might be using a VR headset while the other player is using a computer or a controller. And even though they're using different tools, they're still interacting in the same virtual space, playing the same game. This is huge for accessibility. And it means that someone who gets motion sickness or who doesn't own a headset still can participate and interact or contribute to the experience. Instead of excluding people, the system adapts to include them. I found this quote: virtual collaboration environment was further developed into asymmetric VR, where non-HMD users as well as HMD users can participate together and perform actions. Now let's build on this idea with another key term: co-presence. Co-presence is the idea that you feel like you're there together with someone else. It's deeper than just presence, just feeling like you're there. This is especially important in multiplayer environments, which are also called MUVEs, maybe moves, multi-user virtual environments. In these spaces, the experience isn't just about the environment, it's about the other people. And our researcher, Shady Geerton Lahoud, shares this, starts by asking the question, how does the co-presence of a real-world partner in a shared virtual environment influence the experience in VR, the user experience in VR? Really, it's about finding that meaningful experience together. And it's really about how the co-presence of another person influences the outcome of that game or that space. So let's break down what some research says about the impact of asymmetric VR. First, it improves the experience for non-VR users. People without headsets can still feel like they're part of the world and they're not just watching it. Studies suggest that well-designed asymmetric interfaces can significantly improve the sense of presence for non-HMD users, which makes these people without a headset feel more like they're in the environment. Players can collaborate and communicate and influence what's happening. And thirdly, it makes this idea of co-presence more important. It strengthens co-presence, this feeling that we're here together, even if the technology is different. This shared interaction and co-presence is the active participation of a real-world partner via an asymmetric interface, which can enhance the overall sense of co-presence, fostering a strong feeling of being there together for both users. The takeaway from this is that good design can make experiences feel shared, even when they're not physically equal. This is huge for education, for communication, for future technology design, as well as games. This is not just for gaming. This asymmetric VR bridges a gap, creating a more inclusive and engaging shared virtual experience. Our game spaces have become expanded because of such technology. It brings us back to a theme that we're exploring, which is what is a space, whether that's a physical space or a virtual space or just a gaming space in general. Asymmetric VR pushes this idea even further. And it's not about just being where you are in space or what device you're using. Instead, it's about the right participation, the right interaction, and the right shared experience with that game or that virtual reality space. Even if a person is interacting in a different way, they can still be part of this same space. So in a way, asymmetric VR doesn't just expand access, it redefines what it means to be present. Maybe the most important idea here is that the more people who can participate, the stronger the experience becomes. And it really isn't just about the saying, the more the merrier. This more the merrier is supported by research in virtual environments. So please, in some way, come join the space. Come join the game. These are my sources for today. They are academic and they focus on virtual reality, user experience, and shared environments. To wrap up today, I just would like to leave you with a couple questions. Have you ever watched someone else play a game and still felt involved? What has made you feel included or excluded in a game? And do you think that VR should always aim to include non-headset users? Why or why not? Think about inclusivity, think about shared experience and co-presence, and think about joining the games. Have a great day. Thank you so much for joining me on Breaking Out Technology in the Classroom, a year-long experience of immersive learning through Zoom. Have a great day.